what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below this video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Sane, Ranty Flat Earth, and D Marble. Good to have you all.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Hey, it's good. Nice to see you in here, D.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on, gentlemen.
What time is it there?
Good morning. It's 5 a.m.
Whoa.
It's okay. It's okay. I typically wake up about 4. And I'm at the gym at 5. I decided to skip the workout today.
Just for us.
Yeah. This time. I might have slept in otherwise.
Oh, you're not that regimented then. You're not all ripped and obsessed.
No, not really. I've had a class where I was getting my commercial driver's license, and that kind of threw my schedule off because I needed to be at that class at 6 a.m. and I'm usually leaving the gym at 6 a.m. So I, had to stop working out for about 3 weeks, at least according to that particular schedule. So yeah, I'm off a little bit. It's okay. I'll get it back.
Anything driving's going to set off my radar. So commercial driving for what? Is that okay if I ask or not? Feel free to say, I don't know.
Well, it's just something my job required me to do. We just had to get a Class B license to handle vehicles with an air brake system.
Okay.
Is all.
So big trucks.
But yeah, basically.
Cool. Anything with an engine. Love it.
Right.
So we typically do a bit of housekeeping if that's good by you, D Marble. You can help us out, I hope. We shall see.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
I've been looking for a couple years now. I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, we're not very good at finding the curve as yet.
Chocolate, you there? Any signs of curvature?
Not that I can find.
Fair enough. What about axial rotation? And as Ranty's on the panel, specifically of an Earth-based variety. Any axial rotation, gentlemen?
Not from me. Failing today.
Nothing here.
No?
Nada.
Any signs of gravity?
No.
Not lately.
What about the self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of presupposed spherical Earth? Any signs of that, gentlemen?
Not one. I got some nice pictures online I could show you, but I mean most of them are cartoons, so not going to be able to help too much with that.
Got my hopes up when you said pictures. Yeah. No signs of that molten iron core, gentlemen. What about the radius itself, the presupposition of R? Any evidence of Earth-based radius, gentlemen?
No, and considering that Mick West, the father of R, should we call him the father of R? A wanker. Well, anyway, he actually said that he has a presupposition of R. So, essentially, if he's saying that there is no actual proof of R, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, but is there any signs of proof? There's a few people throwing it out there, have been in the past. Any scientific evidence of R? No?
Nope, struggling, mate. Can't find it.
I got nothing.
Well, last but not least then, the pressurised system next to a vacuum. Anybody had that demonstrated to them at all? Pressurised system next to a lower pressure system or vacuum? Anybody?
Fail.
Anybody?
Fail. Can't do it, mate.
I'll do this one in Spanish. No.
Well, maybe we should get straight onto your hunt for the curvature then, D Marvel.
All right. So last week, you guys may have heard, conducted an experiment of sorts. It was kind of a laser test. I had an idea on the Saturday before that particular test took place, and I just couldn't find anybody to do this thing with me. I have a really bright flashlight, and I had an idea. Because we're in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, there's a lot of bodies of water around here, and there's quite a few connected to the Pacific Ocean. We were on the Puget Sound, and the distance between us was 10.3 miles. Now, he had the laser fixed, let's say 12 feet above sea level, just to be fair. I was at a distance 10.3 miles away from him at a beach adjacent to where he was across the water. And I mean, there was a point where I was live streaming. He turns the laser on. I could see the laser through my P900. I had the P900 down almost as low as a tripod gets, is without cranking that last part of the neck. And I mean, there was a point where I even took my phone, which could still see the laser across the water 10 miles away, and almost put it in the water, put it on the ground, and then I moved it up, and we could still see the laser from, actually sea level. So the beam should have been obstructed by at least 25 feet of curvature or bulging water at that distance, but no, that didn't happen. And one of these things that I keep getting from the globe believers, they're saying that's been debunked already because they used one of their magic words, refraction. Have you ever heard about that one, Nathan?
No, that's new on me.
Never heard of that before.
Yeah. So I've heard this 1,000 times in the last week, so I decided to go ahead and look into refraction, the whole idea of, light passing through one medium, and, through it, to come out the side of another. And I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because the examples that I saw, let me see. The definition of refraction: the fact or phenomenon of light, radio waves, etc., being deflected in passing obliquely through the interface between one medium and another, or through a medium of varying density. Now, that definition says basically that the light has to go into one thing, like a glass of water or a prism, and then come out the other side. Okay. The issue with their argument of refraction is that the laser beam was fired parallel to the surface of the water. It wasn't fired into the water. So the argument of refraction kind of falls flat, pun intended.
Well, yes and no. What you're describing is absolutely real. Refraction is real. It absolutely unequivocally does exist. It does happen.
Oh, it does.
However,
it does. I agree.
But that's not what they're talking about. The Globers are talking about terrestrial refraction.
Oh my God.
So terrestrial refraction is the bending of light at a rate of 7/6 of the presupposed radius of the Earth. That's terrestrial refraction. Something entirely different to actual refraction.
Ah, okay. Good to know. Now I got to go record some more video. So, what they're wanting us to believe is that the laser beam is some way or another bending over 25 feet of curved water and able to meet my eyes on the other side of the shore. That's basically what the argument is, and it makes absolutely no sense. Because we all know from a very simple standpoint what happens between, or what happens if there's a light in the distance and there's something between you and the light. You can't see the light. And we were able to see at one point where Mark was adjusting the beam from left to right, and the laser, it showed the highest point of illumination as if the beam were firing directly into the camera. So we're looking at the source of the light from 10 miles away, and that should have been obstructed by bulging water, but that didn't happen. So the one saying that test has been debunked already. I'm not exactly sure if they can demonstrate how it's been debunked, but I'm waiting to see it.
I wouldn't really pay any attention to those people that say it's been debunked. They could film a cat meowing, and then they would say that they debunked your video. That's how lame they are. Honestly, I've had it a lot with the stuff that I've been filming. I've heard it before. Terrestrial refraction. I mean, we're seeing things from 200 feet beyond the curve. Oh yeah, it's all been loomed up. It's a hologram. That's what we're told that we're seeing. We know that's rubbish. We see it because it's there. That's our simple explanation. They have to make this fantastical thing up called terrestrial refraction that bends the light around. And as for the divergence of the beam and stuff like that, that still doesn't stop the fact that the light still had to have encountered a hump, which would have been the bulge at their perceived horizon, and then gone over that and into your camera lens. So that divergence stuff, when they were saying about the divergence of the laser beam, that doesn't wash because it can only diverge up because it'll still be encountering the hump at approximately 4.5 miles from an elevation of about 12 feet. So how did that then come back down again and into your camera lens? It couldn't happen. You would have seen it. You would have seen it in like a half moon shape because it would have hit the horizon and been cut off and then spread out. So So I mean, I wouldn't listen to all that stuff. All those people that saying debunked, what they're doing is they're clinging onto that little spinny ball. They don't want to let go of
that. I know. And what I tried to do was make this as clear to see as you can get it. I wanted to show our positions on the map. I showed Mark's position, took pictures from both places. I did the fade ins, as you can see on the screen, and just want to make everything very simple, very easy to see, easy to understand. So this is my position. That's his position. There's, the one island there, and then there's a second one right next to it, and that's where I see the laser. And just put all the numbers up. And the thing is, and I talked about this video the other night. There's the one from the Discovery Channel when they did their laser experiment. There were some issues with that with that video in particular, and the way that they carried out that particular experiment. The globe believers, they hold the Discovery Channel to a much more lenient standard of experimentation, because there was so much editing in between. There was commentary, there were interviews in between. There was one point where the laser beam was on the side of the boat, and then there was one cut scene where the people were talking on the boat. The lady was talking to the guy on the boat, and the laser in one scene was on her shoulder. It was covering her neck, like the beam had spread out from when it was on the boat. Like one cut earlier, they're talking, the beam's on her, and then the next scene, the beam's on the side of the boat, and they just ride the boat off. So I mean, we weren't told who these people were. They were volunteers, that's all we knew. And I mean, there were just issues with that whole thing. So that whole Discovery Channel experiment, that was a lot less technical than mine was, because they didn't even tell us exactly where they were. We didn't see any numbers flash on the screen. I didn't hear them say anything about refraction. I didn't hear anything about that, but I didn't hear anything about beam divergence or light dispersion. I didn't hear any of that stuff from their video. But the global believers, they'll come back to us and say, aha, we got it. This is our smoking gun. See, the laser was higher. I'm like, well, the laser beam could have been manipulated because they cut the scene from the lady on the beach so many times. How do we know? Debunked. Sorry. Because they wouldn't let us get away with that, would they?
You could
Absolutely
tell
not.
it was just made for television. That wasn't a real experiment. I don't care if it was called Discovery Channel or not. No.
Yep.
Yeah, they were selective with the truth. And that's what you find with a lot of ballers or people like that believe in the globe, is that they are dishonest and they won't show the good and the bad. All they have is a belief, and that's all it is. What we're doing is breaking through that belief, and we're trying to make them understand, you know what? Eventually, Usain's terrestrial refraction is going to sound so dumb when we have so much evidence. I mean, that 220-mile test that was released about a week ago. Have you seen that video?
I have not. I believe someone sent it to me just yesterday. I didn't have a chance to look at it though.
Well, I mean, if that can be verified, I mean, it looks pretty legit. I mean, that is just sensation. 220 miles away, he saw this mountain, and it was only, I think, 1,500 feet tall. And he was basically seeing it to the base. Now, I went to Wales about a week ago, and I filmed the Isle of Man, took images of the Isle of Man. It was very tricky, very misty, but I was able to identify the mountain ranges and such. And I was able to conclusively show that I was getting down to at least 200 feet above sea level. Right now, the curvature calcs, if you believe still them, should have been 1,400 feet missing. 1,400 feet. I mean, we're talking the Isle of Man was over 60 miles away.
Wow.
When I was filming this. Yeah.
While we've got this, sorry to interrupt, Ranty, just while we've got this on screen, Daryl, can you just talk us through, again, because it's visual now as well, what's going on? I know it's obvious, but just for those who may not be aware of what's literally happening right now.
Okay, well, let me see. Let me go back. All right, so yeah, what's happening now? This is the shot where this is on the left-hand corner here. That's the video that's being taken from my P900. I just decided to go ahead and edit that into the video. So the main video in the larger box, that's from a live stream that I was doing at the same time. You can see the laser from the other side. And at this point, the phone is at a level of about 3 feet above sea level. So I walk forward a little bit in front of the camera, and here's where I put the phone on the ground, where everybody could still see the laser in the distance. There were about 150 people or so watching that live stream, and you could still see the laser across the water, even if the phone was on the ground. So I walked forward, I put the phone almost into the water, and we could still see the laser from a distance, So I just thought that's as simple as it can be. That's as easy to see as, it gets. If you can see a laser from 10 miles away, I don't believe that over the course of, beyond 10 miles, water starts to bend and bulge and turn into that doesn't happen. So I'm thinking about going into retirement, actually, because what else is there after that?
You'll get the bug. You'll have the bug for doing this.
Yeah.
That laser that you've got is really good. I mean, you gave me the link where you can buy it. Are you thinking of upgrading to get the 5,000 watt one, and perhaps doing some longer tests?
Well, here's the thing, that it wasn't even my laser. It was actually my buddy Mark's laser. He had the idea. I called him on Saturday, and I just had a really bright flashlight that I bought a while back, and I figured, if it were dark enough, I'd be able to see that flashlight from the other side and be able to film that and say, haha, okay, so we could see the flashlight. Boom, there it is. But it's his laser, and he's been talking to me about it, and there are other more powerful lasers that we could get, but they would be shipped in from the UK, and he ordered one and it was rejected by customs. So we can't get much more powerful laser than the one that we had without, maybe a smuggler or some like official military or government individual sneaking it in for us. But
so what was the beam divergence at that? Was it just over 10 miles? Do you know how wide the spread was at that distance?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head. Not right now.
Fair enough.
Well,
no, I'm sure half of the globies know though.
Yeah, I'm not too sure the divergence really helps their argument anyway. As I said, it would have to encounter the hump first. So the physical blockage, their horizon, everything past that is going down. So even if it was spreading out, it would have to be spreading out and curving around the Earth at 7.6R. So they're still claiming refraction. That's what they're doing.
Oh, of course, they're going to claim refraction. I mean, but I would imagine, does refraction actually get them there, especially with the camera shot?
No, because I'll tell you for why as well. You know, the laser beam, you can tell you're looking directly at the source of the laser beam because there's a very, very, very clear and bright blue beam, and that's in the very center. So you can tell you're actually looking at the source of it. You can actually see when he's moving around, you can see the beam itself move slightly, but that's less clear. It's not as bright as the focal point. So you're definitely looking at the laser head, definitely.
And that was my favorite part when you could that's again with the Discovery Channel experiment, their laser test, that whole situation. You know, they cut away so many times, and what I did, I talked to Mark and I said, look, here, I'm going to give you my backup camera, and just make sure you film whatever you can, as much as you can, while we're in communication, so everybody can see what goes on both sides. And I'll kind of put the videos side by side some way or another, so everybody can see exactly what's going on. We didn't get that with the Discovery Channel, you know.
Yeah, selective reporting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier, I was going to get Ranty to pipe up at that point, but yeah, so you said we would never get away with that. So over to you, Ranty. Would we get away with such things on the flat Earth side?
No, we have to. It's got to the point now where people are now saying that my evidence can be discarded simply because it's not good enough that I show them my location, height above sea level, distance to target, everything like that. They're now demanding that I have temperature of the water, what's the barometer pressure, you know. I need all this now to continue with this this ball killing proof that I keep putting out. And
what's just
like
out
I
of
say,
interest,
it's never enough for them.
Well, what's that got to do with 76R exactly?
76R, nothing.
Well, they're asking you for all this information, presumably so they can calculate some sort of refraction, but it's already done for you, lads. The only bit you need really to prove in your refraction calculation, ballers, is the R bit. 7.6 is kind of irrelevant, you can pull that out your ass, but the R bit, that needs proving. In R you trust.
But you see with myself, I am kind of generous to their, you know, kind of, if they ask me to do something, I'll try and go and do that to show them. I feel like I am bending over backwards to try and make these guys believe, but they're not willing to concede a single point. As much as I give, they want more. To the point where it just becomes ridiculous. You know, I'd have to be a walking Doppler radar or something.
As you're here, what's been your experience? What's the feedback been on both sides, Daryl?
Oh, absolutely. No, they wouldn't let us get away with that. And like Randy said, you know, they're going to ask us for all these things. What was the barometric pressure? Okay, so what time was it, and how high were the tides? I mean, come on. What is that? Seriously? Where is the curvature? Where's the obstruction in between us? And as Ranty said, yes, we will end up bending over backwards trying to give them everything that they're asking for just to say, ta-da, here it is. But I mean, they're going to keep moving the goalpost every time we do that. So, you know, we just have to move on at some point. I'm done. I'm done trying to please these knuckleheads. If they can't see that the beam was obviously viewable at the source from 10.3 miles away, I'm done. I'm done. And if Homo sapien wants to continue trying to throw something out about that, then I mean, he can just go look like an idiot for himself and his followers. But I got nothing to do with that. This game's over.
There's the thing, you see. You mentioned Homo sapien, and his channel, if I remember rightly, had hardly any subscribers at all until he started swinging on your balls. And when he started swinging on making videos about you, suddenly his subscriber base has grown and grown and grown. And let's be clear about this. The ballers only exist and their channels only exist because they critique flat earthers. That's their only position in having. They don't have their own original content. Their content is going and getting flat earther content and then discussing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I noticed the same thing. People were coming to me like, hey, this old man made this video. So I go to his channel. He's got less than 1,000 subscribers at that time. But what happened after he started using my name and my face in his thumbnails, put my name in his titles, he saw that he could create a niche by using me as his subject matter. So I mean, I basically built his channel, or he built his channel targeting me. Like nobody was actually paying attention to him because he's been here. If you look back at the timestamps on his videos, Homo sapiens been trying to grow his channel for over 7 years. He's been trying to grow his subs. He's been trying to be a voice. He's been trying to make a name for himself. Or even back in the day when he was kind of sucking off Barack Obama. He's been doing this for 7 years and he was nowhere until he started featuring me. That guy's a scrub. And I hope one of these knuckleheads gets back to him.
So someone in the chat saying, what an arrogant wanker. Not at all, right? D-Marble's built his channel and I can totally relate. And when other parasites and leeches come along and basically just parasite off your good name, he's not being arrogant in saying that. It's just a fact. So screw you, chat room, guests, valued viewers. Please subscribe.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I mean, yeah, all these channels, these Sean Huffords, the Life Sparkane, Miles Davis. I mean, a lot of these guys. If you look back at the stuff when they started doing these things, like Anthony Riley, he was the one that they targeted first, and then of course he's back and forth, and that's helping grow their channel. Now I appreciate that D Marble hasn't really risen to this Homo sapien guy until last week or so, but that still hasn't stopped him for somehow getting 20,000 subscribers. I mean, the guys, and he's after, how much money did he ask for on his GoFundMe? Was it something like 20,000 or something?
Just about. Yeah.
Yeah. And he actually got that. He got a 20,000. So, like you say, he's been trying to grow his channel for 7 years, and only when he started targeting you did he actually get any traction with anything.
Right.
And now he's taking the money off these guys to go and do these different things. And yeah, he is a scrub. I'll be honest. I don't like him.
True story. And I mean that's just what it is. And if anybody wants to go back and look, then they can see. A couple. Let me see if he has 3 videos. 3 of his top videos. I'll say out of his top 5 videos, I'll bet I'm on the thumbnail or my name's in the title of 3 out of 5 of his top videos. I'm certain of it. So, yeah, he had to build his channel off of another man's merit, and that's pretty weak, actually.
Yeah, that's what they're all like, though, isn't it? They're all leeching off people that actually do real research. So, like yourself, who goes out and you take your time to go and do these experiments, you put your effort into doing all this. You jazz up your car, you go out, you talk to people, you do experiments, same as myself, right? And yeah,
Hey, P,
all they do.
hold on. Hey, P, how you doing?
I mean, D Marble, you're only popular because the mainstream media promoted you, so that's why I think you're an agent. But Greater Sapien is a really nice guy. He let me on his panel, and he let me challenge his mainstream science, and he let me say what I wanted, and I appreciate that. So I respect Greater Sapien for having an open discussion and be willing to challenge himself by talking to someone like me who's extremely intelligent and educated.
Okay.
What time is it there, P? Must be pretty early for you too. What time is it there?
Oh my god.
Wait, who's this guy?
It's P
This
Mars.
is P Mars.
Oh God.
What time you got there, P? You're on mute, mate.
P Mars.
Did someone ask me a question or something?
Yeah, sorry, I was just asking what time it was. It must be pretty early for you too, eh?
I set my alarm to flat Earth o'clock.
Flat Earth o'clock. Okay, not getting an answer.
Right. Well, anyway, as I was saying, D, essentially we go out and do the work. We put our time, our effort, money into it, and then these guys, they sit at home and they just make a video about something. So they have no costs involved in doing any of this, and they don't do any research. It's like they have nothing. And I'm trying to steer away from responding to these guys because that's what they live on.
People could say the same thing about you. I think that's kind of a hypocritical thing to say. Like, he's out there doing his thing just like you guys are. I don't see why you guys are hating on the guy.
What thing is he doing? Is he providing any proof of the ball?
Hey, he provided an open panel and he let me come on and say what I want to say, so that's something.
You talking
Yeah,
about
I don't
me?
see I don't see many flat Earth people doing that except for like
Ding
Nathan.
ding. Hello. Thanks for being here. That's nice.
I said
that you can
except for
join.
I said except for Nathan.
Oh, thank you. My bad. Sorry, I didn't hear that. I take it
Yeah,
all
but
back.
that's the thing. We have different things that we do. So why are we a target when we go out and we do these kind of researches and evidence? Because it makes the ball Earth look ridiculous.
Well,
That's
why
what
do
it
you got to
is.
worry about what Greater Sapien or Sly Sparkane are doing? Just do your own thing. I don't understand. Like, who cares if they got popular talking about flat Earth? Like, that doesn't.
Hello.
What? So
Oh,
did
James.
you.
They didn't get popular talking about flat Earth. They got popular talking about flat earthers, targeting flat earthers. They got popular talking
you're a
about other
victim.
people.
Oh, you're
That's
getting
what
targeted.
happened there.
Poor D Marble. I mean, you only got promoted by all these mainstream channels, like, and now you're crying about someone targeting you. Give me a break. You got popular off the mainstream targeting you. So who are you to say this stuff? You're a hypocrite.
P-Mars is a baller, by the way.
Oh,
Am I
I
wrong?
know.
Am I wrong?
I know.
You got popular off the
Professional.
mainstream targeting you, D Marble, and now you're
How
gonna
about
attack
how about
a
you
YouTuber?
how about you lower your
Why are
voice,
you
son?
attacking
How
a
about that?
YouTuber,
How about
dude?
you
Why
lower
are
your
you
voice?
such a
How about you
hater?
why
are you such a
why are you
hater,
raising your
bro?
voice?
Yeah,
I don't
P,
understand
P,
why
P.
you're raising your
Because you're a
voice. I don't
hater,
understand
dude.
why.
Hold
You're
on,
disgusting.
P. Calm down a second. Just 1 second. Right, I can hear it in the tone of your voice that you're agitated, and there's no need. You know, in the same way you've had
I know.
a cordial conversation with Greater Sapien, there's no reason why you can't continue that theme here. But you know, I can tell that you're distressed about D Marble, P, and I don't get it. I don't understand why you're distressed about this.
I can.
Right.
I
I
don't
think
like-
the
I don't
laser
like-
test
I
is
don't
too
like
much for
government
P. Mars to take. He can
He's
see
a
a light
government agent.
from
He's a
water
government
level
agent.
10 miles
Hold
away.
on,
It's
Jimbo.
difficult
Hold
to
on. Just
accept and absorb. It's
sorry,
really
Jimbo.
I know.
work that D. Marble did there, you know, and congratulations for it. It's an excellent display of flatness across the water.
Yeah,
And some people
Thank you very
can't
much.
handle it.
And all
Yeah,
these
agreed.
balls doing is just throwing the toys out of the pram and screaming because they've got nothing else to do. It's literally watching them have a meltdown.
Well,
Yeah,
I know,
would like
right?
to-
right.
I would like to know
The
that. Though. Sorry,
version from the
Jimbo.
work
I just want to get this in.
the
Sorry.
example that's given and just a distraction to try to, you know,
He's
get
leveled-
attention away from what's a very clear, you know, flatness of the water at 10 miles.
Agreed.
Yeah, but
agreed.
he's doing what they're all doing now. They're crying.
I know, right?
Sorry,
Every
guys.
day-
Before you
every
discuss
day
this to
more
death,
evidence
before
is coming out.
we're gonna lose track of what he's actually accused Daryl of, which is being an agent. Specifically, those were his words. So you know, I'd like to hear a response to it. So Daryl, you've got an accusation.
An
Well,
agent.
yeah.
Please, no, really. I'd like to hear the details of my being an agent. Go ahead there, Percival, or whatever your name is.
P Mars.
What? He rage quit? There's an empty chair.
No,
What's going on?
okay,
Explain exactly. Hold up. Explain exactly how I'm an agent there, P.
It's I can't explain it in 5 minutes.
Ye-
The best evidence that you are an agent, D Marble agent working for some CI PR company, is because the mainstream media promoted you. And if you were a real person, the mainstream media does not promote real people. They only promote their own. So we know who you are. A lot of flat earthers know you're an agent. You've been accused by many because you're obviously an agent. Now, to understand the evidence,
hey,
you have to do tons and tons of research. I can't explain it in 5 minutes on a panel. You got to read books. You got to study the CIA and how counterintelligence works.
Hold on.
That'll prove after all that
Wait.
You got to
reading
read
and
books,
studying, D.
something no
Marble
one on
is
this
an agent.
panel is willing to do.
Man, you sound like somebody freaking stole your cat this morning, man. What happened, kid?
I know.
What's wrong with you?
That's P Mars.
Why you so upset? I don't understand what's wrong with you, dude.
I don't understand either.
Because
He's
you're an
distressed.
agent. Because you're an agent. Oh, that's perfect logic
I don't
right
like-
there, genius.
That's not what I said, you black person. Look, you are.
Wow.
That's really bad.
No, because everybody can't see my profile pic. You
Look, You are a
thick-headed
black
cunt.
person and a government agent.
Hang on, wait a minute. What does the
Words in
colour of
my
anybody's
mouth.
skin got to do
I
with it?
love that.
Right.
So let me get it straight.
how exactly does that work? Because I'm sorry, so I'm an agent. Is that why I'm on everybody's panel? Does that mean that is that why? I'm pretty sure.
Code name
Really?
is Uncle Tom.
Yeah, is that what you think? I'm pretty sure yours is just I don't know, freaking hairy, scrub, sweaty.
Well,
Jerk off.
you
I
can
don't
see
freaking
where he's
know.
trying
Whatever
to
you
bring the conversation and the discussion, you know.
man.
Oh my
I think
God.
it's pretty good that you're here and that you're talking about
I
your
would pay
laser
morning,
test and
Nathan.
other stuff.
Don't mute me,
And
Nathan.
you can see the way that the intent of diversion and just one of the, you know, distraction, divert, and whatever is going on, you know. And instead of talking about, you know, flatness and the reality of our environment and where we are,
Jimbo's
we're
trying
down
to
to this
divert and
this
put everyone
guy
to
who,
sleep.
who's some kind of pretender here, just trying to stir muck.
You guys ignore the why.
Obviously. I mean, and he got all sweaty, had to take his shirt off. You need to do a little more cardio there, P. Maybe you would be in better shape for these discussions because we haven't really done anything.
I'm in
It's
better
not like you're
shape than
jogging.
you.
It's not like you're jogging around the block. You're over there taking your shirt off to have a conversation. Good Lord, man.
ignore
What's
the
wrong
why.
with
I'm
you?
getting ready to throw down, bro.
Yeah, all right. You need
Yo.
to throw down some cardio, you pasty chump.
Yeah, let's box. We'll do that. That'll be some good cardio.
Right, just
P,
take
you're
a step off.
making
Hey,
the rest of your Globers look real good right now.
hold on,
P.
everyone, chill for a second.
Glover.
Right, what? If you've got issues, P, this is your opportunity. And so far, we've got you're an agent because you're an agent, which is, let's be honest, pretty weak. But
It's not what I said.
is it a jealousy thing? Hey, Alan, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Hi, who wants a fight?
Nobody wants to fight. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Hello? Yeah, hello?
Good to have you. Good to have you. So, you know, if you've got something to level at him, P, other than being an agent with absolutely no evidence, other than he's been in mainstream media, you know,
Evidence is all over my channel. I've done endless shows about how counterintelligence works.
fair enough.
Just got put two and two together.
P
Dude is a
Mark.
fuck.
Dude, you are counterintelligence.
Okay, just so we can draw closer. So hold on, P, bear with me, P. I'm going to promote your channel. So okay, fine. So what you're saying is he's an agent based on your research into counterintelligence, which is all on your channel, which is called P Mars. Check it out, and if you want to put two and two together and come to the same conclusion as P Mars, that Daryl Marble is an agent, then you're welcome to go and check out P's videos about counterintelligence.
A lot of flat earthers know this. It's pretty
Okay.
obvious if you do any research into how the CIA works and spreads disinformation.
Fair enough. Thank you for that, P. That's very good.
It would help if you gave us a citation for a video that you might have made. Can you
Hey,
tell us
Anthony.
which one might have the info in it?
I'm not doing that. I'm telling you, he's an agent because he got promoted in the mainstream. So he's a mainstream character actor. He's a crisis actor.
What? No. Oh. Tell
As
another one.
he's
Tell
eating
another one.
breakfast.
Tell another one. Go ahead.
As
No,
he's got
no,
food
no.
in his mouth. Go ahead,
No,
P.
no. Keep going.
Yeah.
What else? There's good stuff.
I mean, that's basically it, but that's pretty damning evidence.
Yes, you can.
Really?
You
I
can,
mean,
All right, well,
he's just doing this for the audience.
Yeah,
that settles it.
That
He's
evidence.
pretending he's doing this like psychopathic technique where he's dismissing what I say like it's a joke. But
That
it's not a joke.
settles it, P. Dude,
not
you are a
anything.
joke. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm doing it.
you've really
I
not
already know what it
presented
is.
much, P.
You're a
freaking joke.
psychopath. You're a psychopath.
Really? Yeah.
Really,
Okay.
You're a psychopath.
Okay.
I got called a psychopath yesterday too. So.
You're a
And
manipulative little psychopath.
you're a disruptor. So we were trying to have a conversation, and then you get
You
your
weren't trying to have a conversation.
scruffy ass on this
It's a
panel.
flat earth debate, dude. Shut up.
Yeah.
So,
Pop
right,
that stuff online.
so now that he's produced all that damning evidence, are you going to admit it now? Daryl?
Where was it?
Where's the confession,
I
Daryl?
missed it, Monty. Where was that evidence? I didn't see it.
Yeah,
It was in that word salad that he was talking.
Oh, right. Is that what's counted as evidence on the ball side then? Words?
That's it.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like the gravity evidence, doesn't it? Just words.
Lord.
Oh my God. You were promoted by the mainstream. Wow. Okay. Here. Which one? What mainstream? There,
You're
P
a
Mars. Go ahead.
mainstream flat earther.
Go ahead.
Your government approved resistance.
Government approved. Are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm
Based
HIV
on yeah, I'll bet you are. Based on what? You need to talk to your boyfriend about that, by the way. So based on what am I government approved resistance?
I already explained this shit to you guys.
Yeah, well, part of it's on his channel, and you can put 2 and 2 together, didn't you get?
Okay.
It's not fair for me to have to provide all this like hardcore evidence. Like, obviously,
Hardcore evidence.
This is coming from a globe earther.
I love it. It's not fair that I should have to present evidence. You're
I'm
right,
not a
Pete.
globe earther black person. But
Hold on, that's the second time you've done that. What's with this, right? I know you're absolutely itching to call the guy a nigger because you're really racist. What's with this?
It's like we're talking
why have you
20
just
freaking
as
years.
racist,
20 freaking
P,
years.
by saying
You
black
expect
person?
me to be able to like just
20
spew
years
that
of
out
research,
in
but no
5
evidence,
minutes?
AP.
20 years of research.
20 years, but no evidence, eh?
What's with the racism? I don't get it. I don't get it, P.
I don't know. I don't know.
No evidence.
Yeah, but you're leveling. All
Where
you're
did
leveling
you
at
put
him
the
is.
knowledge? It sounds like it hurt while you were, shoving it there,
No, I think
know, right?
P's genuinely got an
20 years.
issue.
That must
P's
have
genuinely
really
got an issue with him being
gone in the
black.
wrong
Your
hole.
voice, you have the most monotone, boring voice I've ever heard. Like, anyone want to fucking go to
Hey,
sleep?
Morris.
Just put
No
Jimbo
swearing,
on.
please. No swearing.
Hey, have you taken your medication today?
Not today. I doubt it.
No, I reckon he's doubled up.
Because what?
So, yeah.
I got a really good workout in last night. My testosterone is like off the charts right now.
But I want to know.
More like a
If we-
400 dose of like Haldol every 30 days.
No doubt. He's a burning ball of manly rage right now.
I do want to know the answer, though, P. I do want to know the answer because you've joined the stream repeatedly and said nigger, nigger, nigger over and over again. Now you've got somebody that you obviously dislike for whatever reason. You've accused of being an agent. And then you modify your language with the same exact racist intonation, but you're calling him black person. So what's your issue? What's your issue with black people?
Their skin is black.
I want to know.
Me
Really?
too.
You
that's
turned
the
me off
issue?
bananas too there, P. Mars. That's pretty serious too with what you did with that banana.
To be honest, I don't actually think P. Mars is actually racist. I think he runs out of ideas to slur people with and he resorts to racism because he's got nothing left.
Could
Because I
be.
guarantee he wouldn't say that to a black person's face.
Nah, he wouldn't say that.
Guarantee it, brother.
I saw a black cop.
He's running so fast.
I'll bet good money.
Nah, P. Mars, I'll punch you in the mouth if you said that dumb stuff to my face. Chump.
I would love it if you punched me in the mouth because then I would murder you.
I'll bet. Yeah. Okay.
And I like.
But you wouldn't say it to my face. That's the point. That's the genesis of this whole thing. You're a freaking coward, and you wouldn't say it to my face.
I'm not a coward. If there's anything, I'm not a coward.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't say that to my face.
T Marble.
Garen.
What up?
You wouldn't say. I wouldn't say it to your face, to my face.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay,
so what's up,
it's
Nate?
descended into farce.
T Marble.
Yes, sir.
I do apologize. I came late to the debate, and I caught you talking about Greater Sapien, and I'm just wondering what your response was to the video. I do apologize. It's just done, so I do apologize if you've already discussed it.
Well, what video? I don't know if he's done a video since last week.
It was on August the 9th, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Message to D Marble on his laser test.
Oh yeah. Well, we already discussed what he talked about. I mean, he talked about refraction, light dispersion, beam divergence, and all. I mean, the same lame excuses that I've heard so many times in the comments from these ball lovers. And
What's your thoughts on the laser divergence?
I mean, well, no. I mean, I'll acknowledge that refraction is a thing, that which has been scientifically proven, same as light dispersion and beam divergence. I mean, these things are obviously fact, but there's another fact. It's called there's supposed to be obstruction between myself and the light source on the other side, and there was none. So screw your beam divergence, refraction, and light dispersion.
Yeah.
Where's the curvature?
Yeah, from 1 inch off the water.
Except that light bends the way they tell us it does. It's still got to bend around a curve. Show me any shadow that gets cast around a corner. Doesn't happen.
Right. So I mean that's what he came out with, and it looked like he kind of choked those out as if I wasn't going to go look into what he was saying. But yeah, come on now, we all know that.
Saying that refraction and divergence are not important in this. Then.
Yeah,
not the way you described them all. No.
Okay. No.
They're minimal. They're very minimal in the case of this laser test, anyway.
Negligible is the word.
In this one, it's negligible.
Yeah, negligible.
Well, I've brought this up too. I mean, we can talk all we want about the idea and the concept of refraction, but do we have any quantifiable variables where if D Marble produces the barometric pressure, if he produces the temperature, we can say this is exactly what you're going to see. Exactly, because if it's not, it's irrelevant.
No, it's irrelevant anyway, because that's not the refraction they're dealing with. They're just dealing with terrestrial refraction at 76R. So, again, if anybody ever says R, it's like, okay, how are you calculating it for this Earth-based model with terrestrial refraction? Oh, right, you've got a presupposed radius. Oh, right, so it's a begging the question fallacy on top of a begging the question fallacy when you apply 76R to a presupposed radius Earth that you've got no scientific evidence for. So it's a begging the question fallacy on steroids when they refer to refraction. When we refer to refraction, we can quantify it. We can talk about actual effects that can be quantified. They just talk about 76R. That's terrestrial refraction.
And then how many samples of water temperature do you have to take? Because along the shores, it's going to be warmer. The water's more shallow, gets more heat. There are different temperatures across a bay or a lake. So I mean, how many temperature samples for the water? How many air temperature samples across the distance do you want? Come on, it's a light and a visual test. I agree, and refraction is an element when it's very noticeable and very pronounced. In this instance, these light beams are basically straight.
And how does perspective affect the experiment?
Apparently not very much, because if a cell phone camera from less than a foot off the water can still see the beam from, 10 miles away, not much.
Sorry, I've got to interrupt.
That
Can we
beam
stop?
doesn't have much vertical height to it.
Sorry,
so
Jimbo.
It doesn't have angle of incline or...
Can we stop calling it an experiment? Laser test, fine. Observation, fine. It's not an experiment.
It was a test.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to see what you see.
My bad.
But we don't see, like, I don't know, even 40 feet of arc, a lump, a lens shape on the water. Nothing like that. There's nothing
straight into the lens.
That beam of light. There's nothing.
You see straight into that lens. There's a very, very sharp, very light point that you're looking directly into the laser beam right at its source. That's how you know you're looking directly at it. You're not looking at the beam of it. You're looking directly into the actual laser.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's the same when we did the lighthouse observation at St. Bees at night time with Nathan. I know this is the thing that everybody, or that Cat Earth saw me and Nathan chatting on Skype afterwards. And Nathan said, don't publish that because they'll just twist it. And Nathan got called a liar or whatever it was he got called. But essentially, we were looking at the lighthouse light. We were not looking at a projected beam because we don't see Gotham City style beams. We see light and we see it at source. So if you can see that light, it ain't bending. It's straight. And that's the way we saw it. But because all the ballers are dishonest, they will tell us that we're looking at bendy light and we're looking at it at source with our own eyes. And it's not bending, but that's what they will argue.
I've got that up on screen now. So this is the lighthouse we're talking about, and at one stage during the debate at about number 77-ish or 77 onwards, there was a challenge put out to take a picture of this lighthouse at, let me get it right, 31 and a bit miles. Is that right, Anthony?
31.3 miles, I think it was,
Yep,
yeah.
31 and a bit. Close enough. From the car park, which is at about an elevation at high tide of about 20 feet, low tide about, it's 10 metre difference, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's between 20 and 40 feet, depending on where the tide exactly is.
Yeah, so worst case scenario, call it 40 feet. So you're 40 feet above sea level, and this thing's 31 miles away. By this thing, I mean this lighthouse. This is Mackold Lighthouse. And we did, Anthony's other half went out with a Swish camera and tried to capture it because it was much better, much bigger sensor. And she did almost immediately. It literally took her a matter of minutes to catch it. And once she had, in other words, you knew which direction you were looking at to see it. It had the correct flash pattern and all the rest of it. It was that light. There was no two ways about it. And you could see it from 31 miles away at about, give or take, about 30 feet above sea level. Just incredible, really. But at the time, it's like, well, no, they will just apply refraction to the light itself. The Fresnel, what's it called? I forgot. All this was on the top of my head when we were talking about it at the time. There's a Fresnel dispersion pattern that this light would go into based on the type of lens that a lighthouse has. And my argument would be that they would just say that it's dispersed out in the same way as they're saying the same thing to you now, Daryl, with the beam diversion of the laser beam. So you've got a similar argument with the Fresnel effect, whatever it may be. I've forgotten the name. But yeah, that's the only argument you ever end up in. So my argument to Anthony was like, nah, let's just not use this as an argument when we can see the actual lighthouse and they're saying it's a hologram. It gets worse than them saying about stuff bending around the curve of the earth. When that's happening, effectively they're saying you're not really seeing it. It's not really where you see it. It's being bent around the curve of the earth, and the curve of the earth is actually in the way of this lighthouse. You can't really see it. And for me, that was a much stronger argument than a light flashing on a black, literally it's a black, the frame of the picture that you've got is black with a light flashing, and that, you could easily say, well, that proves nothing. It could be anything. You could be miles away, even though she's spinning the camera and showing her location and all the rest of it. And we're all going, wow, look, there it is. That for me wasn't enough, especially when you could easily fudge the mathematics with refraction and the Fresnel dispersion. So I said, nah, they'll just use it as a globe proof or words to that effect. Or I think I said, there's your globe proof. I can't remember exactly what I said, but that was used against me as me being a glober. And it's like, no, I'm phrasing it to a friend who knows exactly what I'm saying without having to give any paraphrasing, which is to say that they'll just use it as proof. But I don't need to say it in such a long-handed form when I'm dealing with Anthony and he knows exactly what the situation is. But unfortunately for Anthony and myself, or fortunately, I don't care really, but either way, one of the guests saw our conversation because Anthony was screen sharing, and they screen capped it and then made a massive deal out of it like I'm an actual baller and lying to people because we discussed a lighthouse and it was in the middle of a debate. But there we go. Anyway, that's enough of my disclaimers.
Well, some of the new IR filters and stuff is going to just kick more ass as far as Globers go. It's been game over a long time. It's going to be even more so, It's fighting denial and delusion, all these people grasping at straws and refraction and looming hyenas, and it's just, it's a done deal. It's flat. We know it. It's fighting delusional people living a group psychosis, a group hypnosis.
Can't two pole stars, though.
Say again, Jimmy.
I just said, but you can't explain two pole stars.
What do you mean? Explain them.
On the flat plane.
Yeah, you walk across and then you see them. What more do you need? It's like when we have a presupposition that you are looking at them on a sphere, then you can then extrapolate out a globe proof by affirming the consequent. So, like most things, we see them. They're there.
Jimmy, let me ask you back. How did you work out the distance to the sun at 93 million miles? Where did that actual number come from?
Various people calculating it over the eons.
Who was it?
Don't know.
Sticks in the ground, mate.
Well, I've been looking at where that 93 million mile sun figure came from, and I can't find anybody that cited it. And it's one of those empirical requirements that you guys can cite your evidence. And I don't know where that information comes from. I genuinely don't know. But I would challenge you to go and try and find it, because Doesn't seem to be out there, but somehow somebody somewhere has made that claim, and we can't cite where it's come from. So the question then becomes, well, whatever the stars may or may not be, you don't even know the distance to the sun. You're told it's 93, but no one knows where it's come from.
Yeah, but it's like when you.
What do you mean, but? What do you mean, but? There's no buts. You don't know the distance to the sun, mate. And it stops at that point.
You don't know the distance to the sun.
No, you don't. Nobody knows where it comes from.
What do you mean no one knows where it comes from?
Oh.
It comes from parallax measured from Kepler's third law on interplanetary motion, but the actual number itself, not the scale, but the number, doesn't seem to be registered anywhere. I don't know. I can't find where it comes from.
Well, you can insert any number you like. Jaron recently
Correct.
did a video about this. So as long as you can scale it any way you like, up or down, that's why the distance to the sun has changed.
Yep, you can scale it to anything. Even 32 to 3,400 miles and 30 away and 32 miles across works fine too.
Yeah,
it worked for sailing for eons.
So you guys believe it's 3,000 miles away?
Well, hang on, D Marble, are you still there, mate? Yeah,
I don't know. I just want to answer. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, Branty. To answer Jimmy's question, no. And the reason is simple. I don't know what the sun is, and I'm happy to admit that.
Very big of you.
You went to try and film the 24-hour sun, if I remember rightly. How did that go?
It went quite well, actually. Ooh, hey, we can go over that one too. put up lots of numbers and lots of info about that. So I went to Alaska during summer solstice, and we did our filming by a place called Murphy's Dome in Fairbanks. So we got up it was one of the higher points in that area. Chris Taylor, he took me up there, and we basically sat in his car for about 25 hours or so. We had to get set up, and I'm outside the car. I had to jump out and get the time lapse. I'm doing 50-minute lapses on my P900, so every 48 minutes or so my alarm goes off, so I'll wake up.
Really sorry to interrupt.
Get outside.
Can you remember what the video is called? And I'll bring it up while you're talking about it. Can you remember the title?
Yeah, it was 100% proof that the sun rotate or circles above the flat Earth, I believe. Gonna go over that one.
Oh, I've got it.
Talk you through this one. That was a fun trip. Because
you was there for a few days, weren't you?
Yeah, I was out there for about 4 days, and it was got there that Wednesday, and we were out there that night. Then let me see, the next morning, it was just a few days. I only got about 5 hours of sleep in between missions, but it's all good. Let me see. Hey, that's one of mine.
Is this the right one?
All right. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that's it. That should be it. So I just went through the first few minutes, going off of the things that we know, that the Earth is flat, that the Earth is stationary. Discussed about a little bit about the AE map, how that's one of the more commonly accepted maps, and gave an example of this, this diagram here, showing the sun and moon's circuit over the face of the Earth.
Possible.
Rob Skiba. Yeah, possible, and that doesn't
work, does it?
Well, we'll see. And this is where I kind of did a subliminal shot at Jake.
Jake who?
Yeah.
Asshole.
Jake the asshole.
I know.
No, oh, don't worry. Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Like, who's that guy? But yeah, this is the video that I saw. It was from it was the midnight sun, and it looked like someone got a time lapse of it making a circuit. So I did a quick. This is from a live stream that I did at SeaTac before I got on the plane. That's just a few of the items that I had. And I went and bought a couple new batteries, a couple new memory cards. I had to replace my camera. I got the equatorial mount, I believe it is. And that's my buddy Chris.
What did Chris do?
Plan.
What did Chris? Why did he get a shout?
He was the guy that hosted me the whole time. Actually, it was I ended up staying at his place. He came pick me up at the airport. He was out there in the car with me the entire time. So he you know,
Big
gets
shout out to Chris then. Sorry, we've got a new guest. Hey, is it SX? Can you hear us? I think he's a real person. I'm pretty sure we've had him on before. Sorry, you carry on, Daryl.
All right, so this is just an example. I use dioptra to show my location because people would say, well, you don't know if it's a 360, so I use dioptra here, pointing to the azimuth, showing, you know, whether or not you're doing a 360. I thought that would be a handy thing to have with this whole situation here in Alaska. So I start off the time lapse is just by showing the time lapse, and this started at 11 a.m. Now, at this point, you can see the sun went off into the distance. That was about 1 to 3 a.m. when it was at its lowest point. And even then, you could see that the sun actually did shrink in size as it went away, or it was smaller on the horizon when it was that time as opposed to where it is now. And I had to adjust the camera upward to follow the sun in the sky.
Did you have a solar filter on?
I did not.
Okay, I see a problem.
No.
Same problem.
Yeah.
So quick question.
Yeah.
Are you tracking this manually then, just every so often moving the camera?
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, it was really cloudy, so it gets kind of tough to see at this point. But yeah, so we started at the point where there was the tower, the sun, tracked around the sky and came back to its original starting point. You can see the rays back there in the distance, and obviously that's okay. And there's the sun. So then I start to put in the pictures along with the position of the sun in the time lapse, just so everybody can see, what time it is, the degrees, the azimuth, what direction I was facing in relation to where the sun was at, just to give everyone a better idea of, all the numbers that were asked for when we make these observations.
It does appear that it hasn't actually left the camera lens, has it?
It didn't. I got the video, zoomed in really close, and it only got about halfway down, when it got to its lowest point, and then came right back. And that was about 2 a.m, and the sun was visible, I believe, in South Africa at the same time. But,
wow.
Stuff that happens on a globe, I'm sure.
Yeah, explain that, Alan.
And also, there's a point right about, it might have been a little bit, let me see, it's 10 a.m. in this shot. Good that I got the timestamps here. I actually did a Facebook live video, and I called Matt. He's in Yorkshire, in Fairfax, I believe, or what is it? Fairfax? No, not Fairfax. Halifax, West Yorkshire. And yeah, that's where he was at. And I called him around 1 on Facebook Live on video, and he could still see the sun. It was about 10 p.m. Where he was at, and he could still see the sun. I could still see the sun high in the sky. And about 30 minutes later, I was able to get a guy in Australia by the name of Sammy. Got him on video, and he showed me the sun in Australia at 7 a.m. So the sun was visible in England, high above my head in Alaska, and also visible in Australia at the same time. But this is where the globies would say, well, that's because, the earth is tilted on its axis. You didn't know that. You're stupid. And just say that type of stuff. But come on.
D Marble, going back to that, you had the map on before. The sun moves roughly 15 degrees every hour. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much everywhere in the world.
Yes.
How would that work on a flat model then, or flat plane?
Why would that not work on a flat plane?
Because it only works in the North Pole. If you look at a circle and think out in your head, Anthony.
No, because we all see the sunrise in the east, and we all see it set in the west, and they are the parameters.
Well, we use the word rise, but it's actually, if it's flat and it's not really going up or down, it's moving across and closer to us.
Yeah,
so
but
it's not really a sunrise or sunset.
Towards us rise in perspective, so it's not a bad phrase to use.
It's devil's in the details sometimes.
I think he's right, Anthony.
What do you mean you think he's right? I don't think it makes any difference.
I'm just trying to wind up, but the 15 degrees every hour everywhere in the world does not work on a flat plane. Simple.
But do we agree that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west for everybody, right?
There's no problem with that.
Right. So there's
just
your
before
parameters.
you go on, I'm sorry to interrupt, Anthony.
Same sun.
Sorry
People
to
are
interrupt.
assuming too
can I
that
just
it's
ask one
going in
question?
a ring
Can I just ask one
shape
question?
around.
Sorry,
and
guys.
round.
Can you hear me? Hello. Just want to
Yes.
ask one question. So you say on a flat plane. Now, when you say that, presumably because we've got a depiction of the A map, are you assuming therefore that D Marble is of the position that that is actually representative of our world or not?
Just have any flat plane. I was just using that as an example. We didn't have to use that as an example. If you have the North Pole in the center, that's the only place the 15 degrees every hour works.
Well, hang on. How about you answering the fact that this was visible for 24 hours straight?
Yeah, how's that work? Also, another thing that only works on a flat Earth is being able to see a laser beam from 10.3 miles away while you're 1 inch above sea level. But you know, we'll go ahead and negate that
according
part.
to your no, it's not an experiment, is it? It's an observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You didn't
according to the
do
observation,
the
yes.
laser at all, did you?
Well, hang on. 24-hour sun. Explain that on your model. Explain that 24-hour sun. Tell me how that works on your ball.
Well, why don't you answer my question first?
Well, no, because we're actually looking at the 24-hour sun.
Yeah, because it's on screen right now, and someone's gone to
I
quite
think
some
This
effort
was
to
on
get it.
first.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Please
Okay.
do.
Let's have a look.
Crickets.
Give me a second.
Well, basically, he's just played the video, and we saw the 24-hour sun without it actually setting. So explain that. Away you go.
Okay, let me find something that explains it.
Well, hang on.
Go find something.
You're gonna Google something right now?
Yeah.
Go to Wikipedia.
You're gonna Google an explanation.
It's gonna explain to us why we're not seeing what we're seeing. Okay.
This is funny.
Isn't it?
I'm still waiting for your answer, the 15 degrees every hour. And you've not answered it yet, but carry on.
Why should we? We first
Why
started
should you?
talking about the 24-hour sun.
It does not work on a flat plane.
How does it work on a globe?
Answer it. It's like the two pole stars. You can't.
Listen, we admit we don't have all the answers. Apparently, you have all the answers.
No, I don't. That's why I'm trying to find
You've got
something.
the body of science behind you. You've got 2,000 years of you guys proving this sort of stuff. So please show us the evidence right now for the 24-hour sun in your model.
I think the
Well, the
screen grab
fact
that was
is-
just on a second ago clarifies D Marble's position. That was kind of the point I was making. But yeah, so fortunately that was in a slide. So well done for that, D Marble.
Thank you. I was saying this is not an argument for the AE map. That's not exactly what it was. I'm saying the AE map might be wrong. I'm saying that the continents might be in different positions and sizes than what we've been told. I'm not bought into any sort of model, honestly.
Same here. Same here.
But I'm saying on a flat plane, both the 15 degrees every hour and the two pole stars cannot work. It's impossible.
Well, the motion and our propulsion through space would mean that our constellations would always be changing. We'd have different night skies over the years and millenniums. It's all fixed. Everything is predictable, like part of a machine, a construction. There's no changes above us, like that we can predict with a simple machine, the Antikythera machine. Every planet, 8 of the planets, so-called planets or luminaries, the sun and the moon, every...
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend, or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!